Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi rasulillahi ajma'in. Amma ba'du. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma ghfirli wa li walidayya warhamhuma kama rabbayani shaghira. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi zidni ilma warzuqni fahma waj'alni minas sholihin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. First of all, let's thank to Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala who has been giving us some mercies and blessings. Secondly, praise and salutation always be given to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best figure of the universe, who has guided us from the darkness to the brightness. The Honorable Mr. Dr. Andes Kalayo Hasibuan MED as the first examiner, the Honorable Melgis Dilkawati MPD as the second examiner, the Honorable Mr. Nuardi MED the third examiner, the Honorable Mam Nelvia Ibrahim MPD as the fourth examiner. In this opportunity, I would like to present my thesis, but let me introduce myself, please. My name is Rina Lukitasari. I'm as the first speaker of Munakosah examination, and the title of my thesis was about a qualitative descriptive study on teacher strategies in teaching listening comprehension at Junior High School 1 Rimba Bintang. The first is about introduction. For background of the problem, the point 1 is the important strategies in teaching listening comprehension. The second is the lack of research investigating listening comprehension strategies specifically. The next is identification of the problem. The students do not listen to the teacher when the teacher teaches. And then the students are not interested in the way the teacher teaches. And the last, the students are less focused when listening learning. The next is limitation of the problem. The first is the students are not interested in the way the teacher teaches. The next is formulation of the problem. There are three formulations of the problem. The first is how do English teachers interpret what listening strategies focusing at Junior High School 1 Rimba Bintang? The second one is to what extent that English teachers implement listening strategies at Junior High School 1 Rimba Bintang? And the last is to what extent that English teachers assess students' listening comprehension at Junior High School 1 Rimba Bintang. The next is conceptual framework. There are three. The first is interpretation the teachers, implementing strategies, and assessing study feedback. For interpretation the teachers, there are three interpretation. The first is top-down strategy, bottom-up strategy, and interactive strategy. For top-down strategy is about listener base, and bottom-up strategy about text or speech base. And for interactive strategy, this is combination between top-down strategy and bottom-up strategy. The next is implementing strategy. For top-down strategy is about listening for the main idea, predicting, drawing inferences, and summarizing. And for bottom-up strategy is about listening for specific details, recognizing cognates, and recognizing word order patterns. And for interactive strategy, about discussing vocabulary related to a topic or even a short dialogue. And for assessing study feedback, there are 6. The first is discrete item test, communicative test, self-assessment, integrative test, interview test, and portfolio assessment. The next is research methods. For research design, is a qualitative descriptive, and time and location at Junior High School 1 Rimba Melintang from February until March 2020. And for subject and object, subject is English teachers and object is teacher strategies in teaching listening comprehension. And participant, purposive sampling, there are 3 English teachers. And for technique of collecting data, to use interview, one-on-one interview. And for technique of data analysis, there are 6 steps to analyze the data by Creswell. The first is prepare and organize data for analyze, and then explore and code data, and then build description and themes, and represents and report the qualitative findings. The next is interpret the findings, and the last is validate the accuracy of finding. The next is discussion. Through interview, this interpretation, the teacher strategies in teaching listening comprehension, implementation, the teacher strategies in teaching listening comprehension, and teachers' assessment of students in teaching listening comprehension are provided to show the general picture of teachers in teaching listening comprehension and its practice. And by interview, the researcher finds some points that show about interpretation the teacher strategies, implementation the teacher strategies, and teacher assessment of students in teaching listening comprehension through teachers' reason to the questions interview. The teacher strategies in teaching listening comprehension. The first respondent, the teachers say the use of strategies in listening is important because they have the interrelationship and interdependencies of each skill. Furthermore, the teachers say the purpose of the teacher use a strategy so that students can understand the material being discussed. On the second respondent, the teachers say that the use of different strategies will produce different results, and to use strategies is very important to apply to learning. Anymore, the use of strategy is very influential in learning. And then the third respondent, the teacher use strategies in listening is a way to develop ways in learning to listen. In addition, the importance of using strategies is to be more efficient. And besides that, the teacher can also adjust the strategies needed for the subject matter. The next is implementation the teacher strategies in teaching listening comprehension. The first respondent, the teacher used audio-visual to teach listening to students. By using audio-visual, it means that there is a media shown and it can help students listening comprehension. And for the second respondent, the teachers use audio-visual because in addition to being able to hear sounds, students intended objects. And for the third respondent, during pre-teaching, the teacher understand the audio or text that has been given. After that, the teacher will provide training to practice their understanding. For the third respondent, in preparing pre-teaching, the teacher activates students to understand the audio or text that has been given. After that, the teacher will provide training to practice their understanding of what they hear. The last is teacher's assessment of students in teaching listening comprehension. For the first respondent, in evaluating the students, listening skill was an important skill in learning English because the language is not only to be read, but also to be expressed and also respond to or listen to. Furthermore, if students cannot understand their communication skills or do not understand what is spoken, students will not be able to be responsive. For the second respondent, the teacher explained that good grades can be a motivation for themselves, which means if their grades are good, it means that the attention and work of the school they are working on is successful and what they have learned is not in vain. And the third respondent, the teacher provides other evaluation in the form of a number of puzzles or interview tests and gives rewards to students who successfully answer and give a plus to motivate students. The last is conclusion. From the result, can be concluded that all English teachers at Junior High School 1 Rimba Mintang to use strategies in teaching listening comprehension. Although listening is not taught on a schedule basis, the teacher still teaches listening in daily life. And then the strategies used are very varied, whether it's top-down strategy, bottom-up strategy, and interactive strategy. And the assessment used by English teachers in listening comprehension is discrete item test, integrative test, communicative test, interview test, and portfolio test. Then the way the teacher taught listening comprehension at Junior High School 1 Rimba Mintang was good in all aspects. Okay, thank you very much. I think that's all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.